it is becoming more clear to me that a lot of things are ratcheting up, and this is who you're seeing on the screen is a fellow I actually really like, Quantum of Conscience. He's he's a mindful, thoughtful person who has quite a number of really excellent insights into the reality, a reality that is not what it appears to be. I recommend his channel. And he's come out with a message to the lowly Canadians, the northern brothers and sisters he feels connected to, and he's very diplomatic and he's very considerate in his commentary, and he's making suggestions. I think he's making suggestions. It's always difficult to understand when you're getting into the weeds like this fellow is, and the primary attitude is one of letting us know how things really are. There is a level of hubris, and possibly, in the case of Owen Benjamin, who actually has referred to Matt, this Quantum of Conscience fellow, as he refers to his commentary a lot. And I've said that Owen Benjamin is another somewhat influential thinker in some ways. Commentary he makes in his videos on the situation we're in, and he's farming and being independent and all this kind of stuff. And they've referred to each other. I'm not sure if Matt has referred to Owen Benjamin, if it's like a little tag team thing. I hope he isn't, because Owen Benjamin, as far as I'm concerned, is a supreme narcissist. And Matt is not like that. I think he's very sincere. He's appears to me to be quite honest, but he's off the mark, like he is quite often when he defends himself by saying, well, I'm just telling you the way things are. And basically, you know, the way I see this, or the way I comment on this, is the world is not as it appears to be, which is a generalization on questioning everything. We need to question everything in terms of what it is that is presented to us, especially what is presented to us. So our own observation obviously will come with a question behind it. Our own observations, but especially people who are convincing or trying to convince us or have us read books and textbooks and educate us on the nature of our reality. This requires a lot of scrutiny, and this fellow has done a great job at scrutinizing and questioning the world as it is presented to us. Not so much in terms of his own observation, but more in terms of analyzing how the world is being propagated and proposed to be, or told to us how it is, whether it's a ball, or whether it's a moon landing, or whether it's Kennedy murders and buildings falling down and all this kind of stuff. He takes a very close look at, and rightfully. Now, he's given us, in Canada, a suggestion, and he says this is all, what is going on here is all part of a plan in a system that is so extraordinarily huge in terms of its tentacles, we have no idea. And he may be right. We have no idea on the level of depravity behind this megalithic monster, dinosaur, hyenas breathing down our neck type system we're in. All right. So he's warning us. He's saying, you're just going along with what the system wants, because they have figured it all out. All the possible reactions people could have to instigations, whatever the chaos that is being instigated, all comes out of the back rooms of somewhere, someone, which is what he and Owen Benjamin have basically concluded, that this is a big psyop and it's not what it appears to be. Well, of course, there are tentacles within this monster, this hydra, that is trying to get some kind of result. I even wonder sometimes whether they're looking for a result. I think they do what they do because they can, and they have this perverse delight in causing suffering. So this is my conclusion about a system that appears to be, you know, inching forward every millennia, inching forward to reducing our what I consider to be the birthright within a human being of extracting the soul out of us in some form or other, and they've been extremely successful. Now I'll just make this comment on them. Maybe I should what I should do is actually maybe just go down the way I commented. I commented underneath his. Oh look, I have 10 likes. I commented on his suggestion to us, and I'm just going to go through this. And okay, I'll tell you what my fundamental motive for commenting, which is what I usually have commented on. He doesn't answer me anymore. He was quite upset that I would suggest to him that he might be off the mark. This is what happens to. There's a kind of level of megalomania that sets in when you feel dogmatically you have the meaning of the universe in front of you, and he's very convinced. He tries to be humble, but he's very convinced about the things that he says. And one of the things that I find quite disturbing is as much as you want to enlighten others with the truth and reality, I always say truth is a moving target. So don't get too fixated about the truth. The reason I like this fellow is because I believe him to be sincere and honest. I haven't had an indication otherwise, but it doesn't mean he has understood himself. He says he does. He says he embraces the mystery of the souls and eternity, and we want to get out of here. But it's our duty to be part of making the world a better. I think a better place. This is what he says. We're here for a reason, but we really want to get out of here to get out of this trap. We're trapped in this body, and this is how he talks in terms of the mystery. And I find this quite disturbing, in fact, to see this experience as a transitory experience to get out of. This makes no sense, even from an esoteric point of view. Even the swamis and the gurus used to have the Vestal Virgins line up for them and enjoy the experience of this world, meaning that they were not sincere in their proclamations. But as far as I can tell, Matt loves his cats, and he's a cat person, which I appreciate. I love cats. I never used to like cats, but now I really have an affection for these animals, and he takes care of them and say, anyway, my point is about him is he has not done this inner work that creates the wisdom for him to be able to help me in terms of my own inner work. So he falls short. He gives me a great deal of information on how the world is not as it appears to be, kind of like that blue pill, red pill thing. He red pills me and is able to show how buildings fall down and what's behind it and all this kind of thing. But he hasn't understood something about the inner world that in fact is not influenced whatsoever by the external world. It is something, I call it a birthright. It's something that in some people it is referred to as a calling. So I'll just go into the comment I left, and it's essentially my objection, like with this Owen Benjamin fellow. He's kind of dismissed the Canadian activities, the protests, which are always suspect when you look at the world and the beast and the system, how they manipulate all our actions and reactions. But here's what he missed, and I'll just go through the stuff the way I commented. I said, in a preamble, what he didn't really do, he suggested about the system knowing everything, but I said, ask yourself what the system doesn't understand. That would have been the thing that would have really interested me in his dissertation. If he's going to give me advice on whether or not I should protest and what it means and what's at stake and the invocation of this horrendous power grab of an act, yeah, it's just another thing and the whole psyop, all that kind of stuff. Well, tell me what the system doesn't understand, and I get to that in my comment. So I said to Matt, the owners have become totally unhinged in their hubris. The psychosis is worldwide, is a worldwide phenomenon, and many Canadians, and here's referencing my video that I did last, Canadians are channeling the outrage by all people of conscience. And everybody that listens to me understands my whole thing about conscience. I think it's everything in terms of how we function within this world. And then there are levels above conscience, which is something I haven't gone into because it gets a lot more ethereal after the step of conscience and the invocations of that part in us that is so caring and loving towards others. This is part of conscience, but it is even a step further. So I said, those who have built the inner strength will never be fooled by your not milk reality. He goes into not milk meaning Clinton backwards, and he sees Clinton as the symbols for the total depravity in reality. And he's articulated it really well. And have decided people are not fooled and have decided to step out of their comfort zone in Canada to inspire anyone who still has a heart beating in their chest. That's it. And I said, you're overthinking this. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. No matter what the system is attempting to subvert and undermine us, this is just basically a response to all people that understand we have a conscience and we can do the right thing. So how do we manifest that? Well, you can argue. You can argue how to do that. And I think that's a worthwhile discussion. But the system that he says understands everything doesn't understand this part in us that is inspired to act on doing the right thing. This is something the system doesn't understand for whatever reason. They're psychotic. That's what it is. Trudeau is a psychopath. He doesn't understand this. So he says you're just petitioning a system that'll never listen. We're not petitioning anyone. We're inspiring those among us and anywhere else in the world who are ready to live their birthright. This is the thing, that inner world that is very difficult to articulate. And Matt has a hard time, although he may be doing it in his life, I have no doubt. But when you're making videos and you make your proclamations, you always leave this doubt in my mind that you're not really getting it. This work that is done on an inner level. And you can say, well, you know, I'm doing this, but all the newbies that don't understand this, I have to come out and go through this litany of all the events over and over. Okay, yeah, the explanations, but don't give me advice as a Canadian about the psyop going on that is run out of the back rooms of the monster, the Hydra, this system. We know all this already, Matt. We've understood this. So this is what he says in, at 17.
They know exactly what protesters are going to do, or truck convoys are going to do, or whatever, before the group even arrives in Ottawa to a standard deviation of 92 or 95% or whatever it may be. This is the sophistication of supercomputers, modeling supercomputers, analyzing everybody's tweet. You know, this isn't even conspiracy anymore. 10 years ago, I told my aunt, I said, they listen to everything you say.
Okay, you get the gist of this. He says that it's all modeled already in the computers and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I say they may know the entire gamut of earthly outcomes through their modeling, but they're clueless as it concerns our inner world. Why do you think the word inspiration even exists in the language? This is the inherent power behind the protest. He doesn't get this. We're communicating with all people of conscience who will begin to change from the inside out towards an unknown outcome. This, I believe, to be very important, because the uncertainty in all of this is always there if it has significance and meaning. I'm going to stop this and pick it up because my thing only does 15 minutes. Hold on a sec. Okay. Part 2, my software stops at 15 minutes. So let's hope I can wrap this up in the next 15 minutes. I'll splice it together. And I hope Matt doesn't mind me mirroring his thing, because it was, well, he's out there, you know, he shouldn't mind. I'm giving him, you know, a little bit of publicity through my own commentary. And like I say, I like him as a, you know, but, you know, just because, and I'm sure he gets shit from people and stuff, you know, the what they call the haters, and you know, but so what? Okay, it's like when you're out there, you stick your neck out, you're going to get people trying to chop it off, I guess. But it's not my intention. but I gain a lot of stuff from people when I listen to them. So I use them as a foil to develop my own ideas and thoughts. If I read something, I find myself inspired, or I see the problem with it, and by seeing the problem in it, I learn from it. So anyway, the whole it's good. It's fine as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to be complimentary when it's deserved, and I'm going to criticize when it's not deserved. And in this case, his admonition to, I think it was, in a sense, a warning, telling us, oh, the system is so powerful. I'm going to come to this in my next section here. So let's see what he said in this 1950 remark. Okay, so to finish it off, we don't know the outcome, really. The owners would like to know all the outcomes, like he says. They have modeling systems and they know everything, but they haven't got a clue about what it means to be a human being, a creative human being that is capable of doing the right thing and being caring and loving within our capacity, within our birthright. This is what I believe is our birthright, to live and do the right thing. Okay, what else does he say?
Saying they're in on any nasty scheme or whatever, but that doesn't mean they're not being used. Okay, don't get upset. I'm just telling you what is. Don't get upset at me. They're good people.
Okay, don't get upset with this. Is the sort of defensive thing he gets in. Don't get upset because they've kicked the shit out of him on so many different things, because he's exposing stuff that is really quite pertinent and nasty. So the bastards will come and try and attack him and trolling and all that kind of thing. But now he's sort of defending himself from people. Hey, don't criticize me. I'm just telling you what's true.
That doesn't mean they're not being used. We've all been used by what I call the system. So if you have no idea, just as in the example, Sarah Connor is just a big guy with big muscles, and how tough can he be? How much in danger am I really if I'm sleeping on the couch in this police station? She had no idea the true nature of what she was up against. The people protesting in Ottawa have no idea the true nature and how formidable it is of what they're up against.
Wow. Okay. So this is the little comment. Okay. So I said, okay, stop sounding like that narcissist owned Benjamin. This sort of high, this hubris, as I call it, about having the truth, and we have no idea what we're up against unless you research this. And I said, you've become very cynical with your understanding of a reality that is not as it appears. Absolutely. The reality is not as it appears. And you seem to be consumed by a fatalism of your own personal blocks, which is what I'm talking about. This inner world, as much as you admit you're working on it, you're not doing it. You're not doing it. No sincere or honest person can ever be used. There is a purity and innocence in their actions. Don't forget that, people. If you are honest and sincere, yes, people will manipulate, but you are never going to be used if you're sincere and honest. And if you have a conscience, you're going to set the things right as they appear to you to be real or unreal. You're going to make the thing that has to be set right. You're going to fix your mistakes. Okay? So now the next one is actually quite disturbing, but he's in relation to this. We have no idea what we're up against. Let's see here.
You have no idea, just as in the example, Sarah Connor is just a big guy with big muscles, and how tough can he be? How much in danger am I really if I'm sleeping on the couch in this police station? She had no idea the true nature of what she was up against. The people protesting in Ottawa have no idea the true nature and how formidable it is of what they're up against.
Okay. Wow. Matt's, he's bitten off a bit too much for me here. I said to him here, I dare you to tell the native Aboriginal protesters, which are there as protesters with all the other people, who have lost over 50,000 children to the murdering bastards, tell them that they have no idea what they're up against. Do you realize the suffering that these people have endured? They understand perfectly the system, that over the last 200 years has decimated their population, the Aboriginals of this country. Kevin Annett, a magnificent soul of conscience who has been exposing the genocide, the Aboriginal genocide. These people know exactly what they're up against. Make no mistake. So you don't have a monopoly on what people understand, what they're up against in terms of their own experience. This part of his thing, see, the hubris, he's on this wave. He tends to be on this wave. His humility is gone. He appears humble, but then he says stupid shit like this. It makes, you see, this is where it falls apart, because somewhere, like I say, somewhere he's blocked. He doesn't get it. So, you know, okay, I made another reference. Let's see what this was.
That formidable, do you think that just out of the blue, some guy at a truck stop said, you know, we should do this? You know, how did I have, there's so many questions about how this whole thing came to be in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that any intelligent, rational person, after just scratching their head a few times, would say, well, wait a second. Maybe the system itself actually assisted or played a part in bringing everybody here.
Okay, you can't say this is totally untrue, but what's more important to me is the larger fact and truth in this. And what I said, I'm going out on a limb a bit here. I said, I believe it may be these murdered children, the history of Canada is rearing itself in terms of these children, these souls. If Matt, as he says, has a sense of there is more than this physical world and this physical dimension, I would say these are the souls that are energizing a profound awakening in many Canadians. I believe this to be happening. It has nothing to do with a system organizing. It's kind of like, I referred to Terence McKenna's comment about science and how they understand the world. And scientists, the white coats usually say, in terms of, let's say, the origin of the universe, they say, give us one free miracle and we'll explain everything else. And I think this is the nature of the system he's talking about. The system doesn't understand the miracle. This is important for them to feel like they can manipulate everything, but they have no clue about the origins of where something might be coming from. And I think this is not some kind of manufactured thing by a system. They may try and manipulate it, but ultimately what is really occurring here is an incredible amount of inspired motivation by people who are, this is my conjecture. I think there is in Canada is built on the carcass of a people that were here long before the white guys came. And I think this is coming back to bite. This is something, as they say, the chickens have come home to roost. So to turn this around and just make it into a psyop by the system is missing the point. This, like I say, I like this guy, but for some reason, there is a myopic side to this. Once we get so fixated on having the answer and the truth, and I know he doesn't sound to me like somebody who's going to double down the way Owen Benjamin does his. I pick on him because I don't listen to his stuff much anymore, but I use it as a kind of self-enlightenment. It's like I kind of like do the opposite to what he says, and I'm more likely to be right than wrong. But in the case of Matt, I just thought, it was an interesting thing. A lot of people have their opinions about Canada and what Canada's up to, and well, look around the world. Look at what's happened. How many countries have been have responded in kind in terms of, I'll keep his face up. I like him. I'll keep his face. How many countries around the world have cropped up? And I don't doubt that his Hydra system is going to manipulate, but what they can't manipulate is the essence of who we are as people as we get in touch with that inner strength, that inner self, that motivation, that calling that a person would have. And it's not something that has to be a specific thing. It can be as easily as simply to just totally be dedicated to the activity that you're doing and do the best you can within that activity. And this will have, obviously, I think, a ripple effect. The changes, those inner changes that I talk about, I believe will begin to have a profound effect in our surroundings. That as we become aware, the system is not all powerful and all controlling, and just by knowing it's all powerful and all controlling, we can overcome in some way. I don't know. What's his resolution? I have no idea. He says, well, let's get out of here as soon as we can and join with the rest of the enlightened souls in eternity. This is his answer to how we should be here. I am 100% in alignment, in communion with the people of conscience, people who are honest, sincere, decent people. You don't have to be a barbarian and a brute, paint your face blue. You can actually do the courageous thing and act your conscience. This is what I say, the greatest courage, which is what we're not seeing out of anyone in this farce, in this theater of parliament, coming out and saying enough is enough. None of these people, and Matt is right, why should they? They're part of this hydra, this system that has established itself, I think, over thousands of years. I've said it goes back to Akhenaten. And but my point here was, I'm not just picking on Matt. I'm just using him as a springboard to clarify something. I've been trying to express to this fellow that it's not about identifying the world and how it is not as it appears. It is actually making the inner world dominate to influence the environment around us. This is, and it's not done by exposing the bastards, which he's good at it, but that's not how it works. I'll end it here. I may have some more comments. I feel quite motivated and compelled to do the videos now the way I have been with Fukushima, which is still going on. By the way, people, Fukushima has not gone away. I recommend you listen to Dana Durnford's broadcasts on the catastrophe at Fukushima. This thing has not gone away, and Durnford is a staunch, I mean, talk about dedication. The guy has a calling, and I highly regard and respect Dana Durnford and his daily broadcasts on the catastrophes that are ongoing at Fukushima. But this is on my mind now, in the sense that it's really in my backyard directly. Fukushima, we don't see as much in our backyard, but it's affecting us, no doubt about it. So I wish Matt all the best. And he's totally missed the boat on this, by the way. That's my conclusion. So I'll post this, and I hope he doesn't object to having been pictured on my channel.